introduce myself. I'm Jude Hinton. I'm Dean of the College of Human Sciences at Auburn University, and I also serve as Executive Director of the Hunger Solutions Institute. Auburn has been the Secretariat for Universities Fighting World Hunger since its inception. We are now celebrating the 12th anniversary of UFWH, and we're so excited about joining forces this year with the Campus Kitchens Project. It seems that we've made many friends across these organizations, and not only made friends, but we see that there are students who are overlapping, who have been involved in UFWH and also with the Campus Kitchens projects. So this is a great way for us to, as I said, join forces. We are feeling from the feedback that we've received so far from the PUSH Pre-Summit that we are more and more committed to the whole issue of dealing with food waste as a major effort to address food insecurity. I think that we're here to learn, we're here to share best practices, and we truly hope that you enjoy the rest of your time here. So thank you, and I will next give the podium to someone from DC Central Kitchens.
We've got this down to a science. All right. My name is Mike Curtin. I'm the CEO of DC Central Kitchen and the Campus Kitchens Project. And we are incredibly happy to be here and co-convening this year's Food Waste and Hunger Summit with Universities Fighting World Hunger and our very, very good friends at Walsh University. It is awesome to be here. I hope some of you know about DC Central Kitchen, and I don't want to go into the whole thing, but I do want to mention 3 priorities or ideas upon which DC Central Kitchen was founded, because I think this really speaks to the work that we're going to be talking about here this weekend and the work that you all are involved in every day. First is that waste is wrong. That waste could be food, that could be productive minds, individuals who are marginalized, community resources that are forgotten or pushed to the side, kitchens that aren't being used. The second is that food will never end hunger. We will never, ever feed our way out of hunger. No matter how hard we try, or try to kid ourselves into believing that if we just keep giving away free food, somehow, magically, that will end hunger. What we have to do is be in the business of breaking the destructive and generational cycle of poverty, of violence, of addiction, of incarceration, of abuse, of trauma, of unemployment, of marginalization, and poverty. And the third is that, and probably, or maybe the most important, is something that our founder, Robert Egger, noticed when he was volunteering, handing out food on the streets of Washington, D.C. almost 30 years ago. And he felt that somehow this exercise of charity, unintentionally, because the men and women that were involved in these actions of feeding were well-intentioned and had love in their hearts. But not only had this exercise become transactional, it had become much more focused on the redemption of the giver instead of the liberation of the receiver. And the kitchen was a place that was created to be all about that liberation and all about creating those opportunities not to end hunger, but to break the cycle of poverty. So we were going along doing that for about 10 years and struggling with the notion of how could we expand this model. And Robert tells a story. He was driving one day in rural Indiana to visit his parents, and he came over a hill and he saw a brand new school, a Saturday morning, in a big parking lot that was entirely empty. And he said to himself, there's a kitchen in that school. And there are students in that school who not only need to do service, but want to do service. And in that cafeteria, at the end of lunch, there's wasted food. And Robert knew that in that community there were people that were hungry. And he knew that there were seniors who wanted to be engaged and had things to give. And we're looking for ways to still be part of the community, to be relevant. And he said, why don't we bring all those things together at schools? And that was the beginning of the Campus Kitchens Project. Our first one started in 2001 at St. Louis University. We just opened up at Williams College in Massachusetts, our 60th. And every day, there are close to 5,000 students across this country engaged in that work. And everyone here, whether you're with the Universities of Fighting World Hunger, Swipe Out Hunger, Holla for Hunger, any of the other organizations across this country that are part of this, are being involved in this way, are part of this larger movement. And when I come to these events, this event every year, our Visit Campus Kitchens, I am incredibly, I'm excited, I'm energized, but most of all, I'm hopeful to see and hear your work. Because we've got some big problems in this country, and they're not going away. And you are going to be left, you're the ones that are going to have to fix it. My generation, and maybe the generation before, has not been good stewards of this American dream. And we're leaving you a mess. And when I think about why and how that happened, I think about something that a date that we're going to mark in just a couple weeks, the 49th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King fought for and ultimately lost his life for the notion of economic inclusion, of breaking that cycle of poverty. The idea that everyone should have the ability to be part of this economy. And he was killed on his way to Washington for the Poor People's March for Economic Inclusion. He wasn't coming up for the Poor People's March for more charity, or more handouts, or more free food. It was the Poor People's March for Economic Freedom. And part of that campaign was an Economic Bill of Rights. And that night when Dr. King was killed, Bobby Kennedy gave what many consider to be his most important speech in Indianapolis. And that night he said, we don't need more hate. We don't need more division. We don't need more separation. What we need in this country is love and respect and inclusion. It's a speech that would probably go over really well about now. And 2 months later, Bobby Kennedy lay dying in a hotel room in California. And Bobby also was someone who fought for, was campaigning on the notion that we will never be a free country until everyone is included in our economy. That's what you all are doing. That's what this work is all about. And while many say that that speech in Indianapolis was Bobby's most important, probably his most quoted, and one of my favorites, was a speech he gave 2 years earlier in South Africa called the Days of Affirmation speech. And in that speech, he said, each time someone stands up for an ideal or works to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope. And coming together from a million centers of daring and courage, those ripples combine to form a wave that can wipe down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. And you, my brothers and sisters, are those ripples. And I encourage you today, tomorrow, when you go back to your schools and your communities, to continue to be those ripples, to inspire others, and to jump in this big pool that we have together and make some big-ass waves. Thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Doug Palmer. I'm the provost here at Walsh University, and it's my pleasure to introduce our president to welcome you, Mr. Richard Jusson.
Thank you. My mind just got messed up. My friend from Campus Pigeon Project. I don't know anything about big-ass waves. So if any of you do, just hold up a sign or something so I can be in context of the group here. I'm president of Walsh University and proud and happy to be here with all of you. And I must start by congratulating you. And I'm congratulating you for a decision you made. Decision to be here. You don't have to be here today. Now, maybe you need to be here, but you don't have to, and you decided that this was a good way to spend your day. For the last day or so, there's an organization called PUSH, Presidents United to Stop Hunger, that held their annual meeting here. And we had a wonderful session for 24 hours. Many of them are still here. And we had fun, and we joked, and we ate, even though it was a hunger meeting, as you did today. And yet, we found ourselves dealing with a problem and an issue that was absolutely overwhelming, with a bedrock belief that no one of us could make a significant impact. No one college, small or large, no one university, small or large, and no one organization, small or large, could help. But at dinner last evening, our keynote speaker from the United Nations, Mr. Sharon, told us things like 50% of all children under 5 who die of malnutrition. 800 million people lacking necessary food and nutrition. 3 famines going on right now, 2017. 3 famines going on in our world. And 3 times he used the word shameful. I couldn't finish my dessert. Embarrassed? How dare you say that while I'm eating dessert, so I can't take another bite? Because the problem is so critical, so profound, so human, and it doesn't matter where you're from, what country, what race, what religion. We have 37 countries represented here at Walsh University, even though we're somewhat of a modest-sized school of about 3,000 students. But even as I listened to him speak, and others as well during the day, with a realization that this is horrible. I can be ashamed because it is shameful. And maybe I'm struggling a little bit with dessert, but I'll get over that by tomorrow. What am I going to do? How can I do anything? And why are we having a World Hunger Summit at little Walsh University in North Canton in the Buckeye State of Ohio, and we're not even in the Final Four? You know why? Because this is a wonderful example of March Madness. You're participating in March Madness right now. We should all be mad about what's going on in this world. And I congratulate you and I thank you. In my crazier moments, I think of myself as one of the most famous graduates ever of Walsh University. Yeah, we all dream, right? College presidents think they're pretty hot stuff, generally. Now when I go home, I have a wife and 5 children who, of course, vote that down pretty quickly. I got to tell you about our truly most famous alumna. One day, many years ago, I was sitting in the Walsh Arena. There were about 2,000 people there. There was a stage in front, and a microphone and 2 chairs, and everybody was talking and having a grand old time. Nobody had to pay to be there. You had to have a ticket for fire codes. But a couple of thousand people sitting around one day in an arena, having a wonderful time, chatting with each other, and I happen to be a dean here, so I get to sit in the second row. That's how you know you're important, because you sit right up front. While all this noise is going on, and nobody goes to the microphone or the podium or anything, absolute, total silence comes over the arena. And I turn around to see what just happened. Like, nobody said, shut up. Here's our guest. Could we please come to order? May I have your attention? Absolute dead silence. And I look around to see what happened. I can't see anything. That's because the guest, the VIP, the person's going to be addressing that audience, is only 4'10". And she's walking in on the other side of the arena with a bodyguard, a young woman who was trained in the martial arts, and she made her way to the stage. And she spoke for about 15 minutes. And she told us that as she visited countries around the world, she had come to the conclusion that the United States was one of the poorest countries she had ever visited. She said, of course you're poor. You can't afford to be home with your families. You can't afford to take care of your children. You can't afford to have your children. You can't afford to feed those who don't have food. And she spoke for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then she left the arena. We did not charge admission for that event. We missed a wonderful opportunity. So everybody came in free. At the end of her talk, nobody said, we'd like to take a collection or free will offering to help this dear lady. But in the lobby of the arena, we put a little square table, about this size, put a big plastic punch bowl on it. And there was a little sign in front of it. And it said, for Mother Teresa's work. All it said. And out we walked. And later in the day, we discovered that in that punch bowl was $37,000. A woman born in 1910 in Macedonia, who goes to Italy, grows up, but not far up, 4'10", who grows up and decides she's going to get involved with a religious community, and at some point she's going to get involved and actually found a religious community dedicated to taking care of the poorest of the poor. We are going to touch the people that no one wants to touch. If you would like to follow me, young ladies, and be part of my Sisters of Charity, here's the deal. About 1/3 of your day, you pray. About 1/3 of your day, you will walk the streets and touch and help and feed and bathe and do whatever is needed to help the poorest of the poor and those whom no one wants to touch. And the other 1/3 of the day, hopefully we have food, hopefully there's time to get some sleep, but that's basically your life. And here's the bonus. You get to take vows. You get to take a vow of poverty. You will own nothing. You'll get to take a vow of chastity. You will remain celibate and you will never be married or have children. And the bonus, you get to take a vow of obedience. And you'll live and go and serve wherever we ask you. Would you please raise your hand if you're interested? There's a table out here in the hallway for those of you who might want to consider that. But more than 10,000 people sign up. Later on, men are invited. They're in 100 countries helping and touching the poorest of the poor. How dare any of us sit here and say that we can't really make a difference, individually and together? A lady from Macedonia, learning Italian, leading a group of people, winning the Nobel Peace Prize, getting an honorary doctorate from Walsh University, and making a difference around the world. My wife and I happened to be in Rome months ago when she was canonized in the Catholic Church. Was she beautiful, attractive, well-dressed, well-attended, driving in the finest of limousines, and catered to by one and all? Nope. She was an easy guest. All the clothes she had to bring, she had on. 4'10", little Mother Teresa. Somebody should have told her back then, around 1925, hey, you really can't make a difference. I mean, look in the mirror. Are you serious? You're going to make a difference? And here we sit, all of us together, all of us part of these wonderful organizations that truly want to make a difference, that truly want to be in our own little way, each and collectively, about doing God's work on earth. Wow. Wow. I really do, and I sincerely congratulate you for caring enough to be here. I hope that as a result of your participation today and tomorrow, and you get to listen to some people who really have insights and knowledge and experience in this whole area throughout our world. Wonderful people in here, Ambassador Tony Hall and so many others. Maybe you will find that little place. No, you're not going to sign up probably for that religious order. No, you weren't really thinking about poverty, chastity, and obedience as a way of life. But every single person that you feed, one, if you only help one person, you are everything to that person. Collectively, it's wonderful. We as an institution are honored and proud to host this event. And I am so grateful and so inspired by the number of students sitting in this room who at least are willing to say, maybe I can help a little bit. I'm 5'10". I can probably do more than Mother Teresa. Thank you for being here. I hope the conference is absolutely wonderful. And I hope we all walk out of here with a sense of mission and a sense of vision. That sense of vision being the strategy of how, perhaps working with these organizations and beyond, we can make a difference. And one other thing, passion, passion, and passion. If you have a mission, if you have a vision, and you have passion, you truly are an MVP. Mission, vision, and passion. You already are MVPs for being here. You're going to be MVPs that truly are going to make a difference in our world because you're on a mission and you're passionate. Each of us in our own little way, however little that is, to do our share of God's work on this earth. Thank you. I realize that many of you have already eaten, but I've been asked to lead us all in prayer, if you would join me. Dear God, we come to you today in a spirit of thanksgiving and gratitude for the many, many blessings each of us has received as individuals, as families, as communities, and as a group. We thank you, Lord, and we ask you to send into our hearts your spirit of wisdom, so that truly over these 2 days, we discern, we learn, we develop mission and vision and passion for doing your work. And while we ask you, God, to bless the food before us today, and we do so with gratitude, we ask you in a special way to help those who have far less than we, and who, without us, about your work, will continue to be at death's door for the lack of something of which we have, and there is so much. Dear God, we thank you for the blessings. We try to be as grateful as we can, but our gratefulness, we hope, will translate into action. And we ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.